What if I told you in 2025 you could buy a brand new iconic driver for the same as a used one, with warranty and basically zero risk because of this loophole that seems like cheating the system. On top of that, these are 3 different drivers, so hopefully I can cover all of you watching this video, and therefore you can all benefit. Guys, how you doing? Welcome back to a brand new video. Simon here, SAS Golf Academy. Let's talk zero risk drivers, shall we, in 2025. And no, this driver's not in my list today. Why? Because it has a tiny bit too much risk compared to the others. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We talk a lot about good value equipment, especially second-hand equipment. However, there is risk with second-hand equipment, i.e. it could break, for example. And as often as that happens, there is still that slight risk that if it breaks, you're kind of without a golf club. Whereas if you buy a brand new driver, for example, you're covered for at least 2 years warranty, meaning that if it breaks, you basically get sent a new one. This very forgiving ST Max from Mizuno is obviously covered by that, as you can see online. Brand new, $299, and I still think that is a good price, especially if you go and get fitted for it in 2025. However, when it comes to risky option number 2, these drivers devalue quite a bit. Now at $299, that's still pretty good, and I'll show you some prices second-hand here that you can get the STX or STZ or ST Max range for on eBay second-hand. And sadly, for whatever reason, Mizuno woods don't do that well, meaning you could buy this, get club fitted for it, but then just not really like it, and in a year's time, it's going to go for about £150, and you're £150 out of pocket, which is where this video comes in. Brand new driver, warranty, gleaming. You're covered for a minimum of 2 years. Secondly, in a year's time, you fall out of love with it, or you need a different shaft or a completely different head style, I honestly think it's going to sell for virtually the same amount of money. I know it sounds too good to be true, but trust me, this is a great list. I think we should start with a heavy hitter, and it's ironic because this isn't the driver we're talking about today, but proves a massive point. And I guess the loophole that I want to describe to you, because every so often throughout the years, there's certain drivers that just pop out above everything else, overachieve, and realistically the market, us, not adverts, not paid advertisement, the general public goes, you know what, that driver's just incredible. And with a bit of word of mouth, you keeping that driver in the bag for a long time, your mates trying it, for example, the Ping G400 springs to mind, the TaylorMade M2 2016 springs to mind. All of a sudden, the demand for this club second-hand, even years after the drivers actually come out, drive the prices up to the point that they're more expensive than the newer editions that the manufacturers are bringing out. And no better example of this is the TaylorMade SIM2, which was TaylorMade's last driver that came with a titanium face. But why I said this was ironic is because I couldn't even get a hold of a SIM2 for this video. There is hardly any of them out there, second-hand that is, let alone brand new. So when I saw this online, I thought, let's be honest, if you keep it in a wrapper, it's probably just going to go up in value. But as I mentioned at the start, these 3 drivers are potentially for 3 different golfers, and the one on offer for £249, this SIM2 Max, it is that higher launching head, it's that more forgiving head. It's for that golfer that needs some help off the tee, doesn't necessarily need to keep the launch down, and realistically to get more consistent distance off the tee as well as dispersion, technique really is king. And considering I'm all about affordability and technique, Swing Tweaks is not only the perfect app, but actually the perfect partner for this channel. Swing Tweaks is a very easy app to use, which you can download on iOS and Android. And to be honest, I've only had their qualified PGA pros look at my iron swing, but to be honest, I think I want some new feelings for my driver as well. And if they can help me as much as they did with the irons, and I might actually be able to play some decent golf. To get your own personalized swing tweak, all you need to do is download the app, take a video face on and also down the line with a brief description of what's going wrong with your swing and what you're looking to improve. Then one of their qualified PGA professionals will get back to you with drills, analysis, and a summary of your swing, as well as a detailed plan on how we're going to fix it. If you feel like you would benefit from getting your own swing tweaked, link in description and use code SASGolf to get 20% off your first swing tweak. On the right hand side, I've got some prices of SIM2s and what they go for second hand. And to be perfectly honest, if it's in really good condition, we're looking at around £230, £240, with the ones that are worse condition, battered, £200, £210. And again, I don't think buying one of these second hand is necessarily a bad thing, because so many people love the feel and sound of this thing. It's a great performing driver. And again, as I say, the last driver before TaylorMade went full carbon on the face. However, I found two places online selling this SIM2 driver for £249, American Golf and Clubhouse Golf. And as we'll talk with the next one, and a slight downside and kind of a bit of a con in my eyes, these look like the genuine original SIM2s. It says the 2021. A lot of them have videos of them reviewing back in 2021. So for me, this is a legitimate SIM2 and not necessarily a duplicate. And to be honest, at the price, the forgiveness, the overall aesthetic, this is one of the best purchases I think you can have in 2025, considering you can even choose the loft, shaft, and flex options that go with it. Okay, we've done forgiving. What about you guys that want low spinning monsters that are going to penetrate the fairway? Callaway notoriously doesn't do that well in the second-hand market, or used to, I should say. I'm talking the Epic Flash. I'm talking about the Epic Speed. I'm certainly talking about the Maverick. I mean, those things are just being given away. However, it was around this time that somehow Callaway turned it all around. And I think it goes to show how important brand really is, how important marketing really is. And again, in the second-hand market and public perception, definitely collaborates with that idea. And again, I refer back to this loophole that I keep talking about, is that every year we get tons of new drivers at £500, £550, and we're told they're the best. We're told that these are the new innovations that are going to help your game. But just like the Callaway Maverick that came out and was sold again for around 450 odd pounds, that wasn't the best thing for the game. It's actually one of the worst drivers to come out with aesthetic, sound, forgiveness, you name it. And the second-hand market is a great indication of that. However, this Rogue ST Max, which is a phenomenally good-looking driver, was one of the best drivers of that year. Put Callaway very much at the forefront. And the best thing now is in 2025, wait till I show you the price. It's not quite this one, it's a different one. But wait till I show you the price that you can get this for, brand new, with warranty. I mean, for me, it's just a no-brainer at this point. Do love the sound of this thing. Do you know what? I might just buy one. Buy all of them and just sell them in here. Now, be careful, because this does happen every year where manufacturers bring out a head that looks like the old one and they give it to big retailers to sell in their shop. And there's nothing wrong with this. However, if you look here, it says Callaway Rogue ST24, meaning this is the 2024 version. It's not like the old one. And I'm sure it performs exactly the same. But when it comes to the second-hand market, these potentially will tank in price because they're not quite the original. You can see these two dots here, and then on the 2024 version, that's not there. And considering those two little dots there are supposed to be the jailbreak, like frames in the center of the face, I presume those 2024 versions don't have the jailbreak in the face. However, there are a few websites that are selling this around $230, $220 in the max head, which again is probably going to suit a lot of you. But there's actually a shop very local to myself selling the Rogue ST Triple Diamond LS. And bearing in mind, triple diamonds from Callaway are even more premium. And this is going for $199. Oh, you absolute numpty. I forgot we actually had one here. All right, scrap all of that. I've got the LS Triple Diamond in my hand. When we're talking low spinning and let's say controlling drivers, we're talking shorter front to back and deeper in the face, very much like this LS Triple Diamond. Now they've got shaft options on that list, I must say, for this Triple Diamond LS. However, if you're needing a regular flex driver, this head style just isn't for you. And to be honest, the RCH driver shaft is actually quite a low kick point shaft. It is actually quite high launching, not necessarily what would have gone straight into that head. That being said, if you get the heavier stiff flex version, it'll probably work out as a mid kick point and mid spin, mid launch. Not to mention at 199, you could probably play about with it. If you don't like it, sell the shaft and then buy another one for it. Oh, get me back into that Max D sim that I had a minute ago. Right, come on. Don't get stuck on the inside. There she is. That is going to be a rocket. What carry did we get? 309 carry, just over 340. It's great looking. The public loved it. It's staying in people's bags, and at 199 brand new, I really don't think you can go wrong. Okay, my last pick isn't quite as iconic as the other two. However, this driver, when it first came out, sums up the golf market in general, the golf industry in particular, because it had an astronomical price attached to it. Not to mention, it kind of fluctuated in price throughout the year, almost to say that the industry is almost playing with us. One week it's 500, the next week it's 250. 14 days later, back up to 500, and you're starting to think, are we just making numbers up at this point? One thing that isn't made up though is the performance of this driver. It's one of my favorite drivers to ever come out in terms of the sound and the feel. And the reason I chose this one to finish off this list is that we've got the SIM2 Max, super forgiving. We've got the Triple Diamond Fade Bias Callaway, super low spinning. In the middle, we've got plain Jane. Something for a lot of you just looking for a good sounding, performing driver with warranty, new. To be honest, this is kind of as good as you get. PXG Gen 5 0311, not the XF, just in the middle. Now, sadly, looking at the shaft options, you can only get one shaft, but again, it's a very mid-range shaft in it. You can choose regular or stiff, and you can also choose slightly different loft options. As well as my other two choices, obviously SIM2, not SIM, are just zero risk options in terms of price as well as obviously longevity. Special thank you to Swing Tweaks for obviously sponsoring this video, link in description. Thank you ever so much for obviously watching, liking and commenting on my videos, and I'll catch you in the next one.